Welcome back to my channel. Today, quite a famous case from the UK, but maybe someone hasn't heard about it yet. I invite you to listen to the shocking story of the Bamber family. Born in 1961, Jeremy Bamber was not the biological son of June and Neville Bamber, a married couple who lived on the large White House farm in Essex County. The couple could not have children, so they decided to give a home to abandoned infants. They first adopted a 3-month-old baby girl, whom they named Phyllis. However, everyone called her Sheila. After a few years, they also took in 6-month-old Jeremy. For the first few years, Sheila and Jeremy didn't cause much trouble. However, as soon as Jeremy entered his teenage years, it became apparent that he didn't give a damn about Bamber's principles and beliefs. He got into fights, committed thefts and burglaries, and became addicted to heroin. He was also bisexual, which strongly outraged his very religious parents. For several years he tried to find himself in Australia, but eventually returned to the UK. He couldn't hold down any job for long and eventually began working on his parents' farm. These, despite the disappointments he brought them, decided to give him another chance. The life of his sister Sheila, who seemed to be the apple of their parents' eye, definitely could not be called peaceful or happy. An unsuccessful modeling career, an abortion performed after parental pressure, an unhappy relationship with Colin Caffell, diagnosed schizophrenia and stays in psychiatric institutions made Sheila Bamber, already in her 20s, a person severely tested by life. In 1979, she gave birth to Caffell's twins, Daniel and Nicholas, but this did not save their marriage. Sheila's lifestyle, partying with friends with alcohol and drugs, hanging out with older men and even sunbathing naked, greatly displeased June, who could call her daughter Satan's spawn. Sheila, on the other hand, was furious every time June forced her sons to pray. This severely damaged mother-daughter relationship, and her health problems were later to be cruelly exploited by Jeremy. In early August 1985, White House Farm was visited by both Sheila and her children and Jeremy. She came to visit from London. He stopped by for dinner. They had a meal with their parents, the atmosphere was calm, and June and Sheila, according to the testimony of the farm's employees, spoke kindly to each other. However, on the night of August 7th, Jeremy Bamber made a shaky call to the police with the news that something bad was happening at his family home. When Jeremy and the policemen arrived at the scene, they found that all the household members were dead. Traces of a struggle were visible in the house. Neville Bamber lay dead on the kitchen floor. His wife was in blood-stained pajamas in the bedroom. Daniel and Nicholas were dead in their beds. Sheila was also in her parents' bedroom. She had 2 gunshot wounds under her chin, indicating that she had taken her own life. The gun was lying next to her. The investigation kicked off the next morning. White House Farm employees were questioned. Sheila's ex-husband was called in, as well as relatives of the Bamber family. Also questioned was Jeremy, who admitted that in the middle of the night his father called him and said his sister had gone crazy and had a gun. The phone was said to have dropped in the middle of the conversation, so Jeremy notified the police. He also reportedly called his girlfriend Julie Mugford. At first, everything pointed to the fact that it was indeed the emotionally unstable Sheila who carried out the murder of the family. However, it was difficult for the police to piece together the evidence collected from the scene. How could petite Sheila overcome her father, who measured over 190 centimeters? How did she shoot at least one person without alarming the other household members? Did she use a silencer? If so, she wouldn't have been able to aim the weapon under her jaw and effectively take her own life, because her arms were too short. Or was this shocking crime committed by someone else? Crowds gathered at the funeral of the Bamber family. Everyone said goodbye to the farmers, their daughter, and 2 small boys. Walking behind the coffin, Jeremy seemed distraught, but did not cry, which aroused the suspicions of the police. Moreover, after the ceremony, the 24-year-old went out to dinner with friends. This seemed suspicious to those members of his family who wanted to mourn together, but were ignored. A few days after the murders, things took a different turn. The police found a silencer hidden in a drawer, and on it the blood of Bamber and Sheila. This meant that the woman had been shot with a suppressed weapon, which, as previously established, was impossible. In addition, no traces of gunpowder were found on her hands, so she was not the one who shot her parents and children. Suspicions immediately fell on Jeremy. Contributing significantly to Bamber's arrest and indictment was Julie, who confessed to police that her boyfriend was planning the perfect murder and that his main motive was money. He confessed to her that although his parents' wills indicated that he and Sheila would each receive half of the estate, he had no intention of sharing. At the time of his loved ones' deaths, 24-year-old Jeremy became the heir to a £400,000. At the time, it was a fortune. He was first arrested on September 8th. A few days later, he was released from custody on bail and left on a trip to St. Tropez with a friend. During this time he tried to sell nude photos of Sheila to the press. He was arrested again on September 29th. He was charged with 5 counts of murder. The trial began on October 3, 1986, with the defendant asserting his innocence and the defense trying to undermine the evidence and Julie Mugford's testimony. According to the attorneys, the girl was coerced into plunging Bamber by the police. This did not convince the jury. By a significant margin, Jeremy Bamber received a life sentence. He was declared one of the most dangerous criminals in Britain. In the 35 years since the verdict, Jeremy Bamber has sought a retrial several times, but his requests have been denied. The last time he did so was in March 2021. He continues to maintain that he is innocent. And that's the end of this shocking story. Goodbye for now.